Well, this is our lucky day because we have conned Chief Cook into telling one of her favorite stories about cemetery.
Our cemetery, our Ottawa Indian Cemetery, is a cemetery that our family used to take care of when I was a kid. And my grandfather used to take care of it, my daddy took care of it. And so when he'd take us kids up there to help take care of it, we'd have clippers and we'd clip around the headstones, and then he always made us sweep off the headstones and around the bases. And then, so years after getting married and moving away and coming back home, the current chief at that time, Chief Charles Todd, had called and asked if Sam and I would like to start weed eating the cemetery. And so I was out there weed eating one day with a weed eater and realized I had finally come full circle in my life, because I'd started out with clippers and a whisk broom, and now I was doing it with a weed eater.
Modern technology.
Modern technology. So that's kind of one of the stories that always seemed funny and just stuck with me as growing up with starting out there with my dad and brother, and it was always just me and my brother. My sister never had to do it. I'm not real sure why, but just me and him.
Now, I heard it's an incredible sight just to go visit the cemetery.
It is. Our cemetery was, and Ron, you said
1873.
1873 was established, I guess you would call it. But in the meantime, right now we have almost 300 veterans, or 200 veterans buried in our cemetery. And we have 16 chiefs. One of them is a Miami chief, and one of them is a Peoria chief, and the other 14 are Ottawa chiefs. And they all have pylons recognizing that says chief on it. And that was another kind of a comical story is, I think the board at that time, when they started doing the pylons, they were determining whether they was going to give the Miami chief and the Peoria chief a pylon also. And when they decided they would, they said it still had to be so many inches shorter than the Ottawa chief's pylons. That was kind of interesting back then. And so, and we have our medicine woman, Aunt Jane King, is buried out there, and she was about 121 years old when she passed. And
that's got to be close to a world record for
I would think
age.
So, yeah.
She made the trek from Ohio to Kansas, and then from Kansas to Oklahoma.
And there's a picture of her in the conference room up there.
Okay.
And she's sitting in a rocking chair, and she just looked like your typical Native American woman, really. But and then we have it's like I was telling you, it's beautiful during Memorial Day weekend, because we have all the veterans, American flags are put on the veterans' graves, and then all of our chiefs have chief flags, Ottawa tribal flags, on there, and just watch out through there with all the evergreens and the trees blowing in it, because it's on top of a hill, and it's just so peaceful and quiet out there, and then you see the flags flying with all the American flags below and all the Ottawa flags above. It's just awesome to sit and watch and know there's so much history in that cemetery.
Well, the same thing in the reservation that I'm from, St. Regis Indian Reservation. As you go to the cemetery and you look at just the leagues of veteran flags, they fly the veteran flags on each one of the stones, and you all of a sudden realize, wait a minute, these are Native Americans that fought and died for our freedom. Mm-hmm. So you can say what you want about the Indians in the past and what has happened in the past, but still, when it comes right down to it, they stood up to the line, paid the price.
Honorable people. Still to this day, our veterans, our Native veterans, are very honorable, and they're very, they don't want a lot of praise. They're very modest.
And proud.
And proud, you bet. You bet.
Well, Chief Cook, that's incredible. Thank you very much.
Welcome.